So in this video, we're going to be looking at the less obvious impact that the New World May patch is going to have on the economy. Now, I may be calling this something like secret gold makers, but that's because I can't think how else to word the title, so don't hate me. The point is that there's some things that are obviously going to change in price, like orichalcum, because we know we're getting more supply. But actually, what I want to talk about is the knock-on impacts of some of this on the economy at large and how you can either make gold or save gold. As always, nothing is guaranteed, so let's begin, and we will start with the metals. Orichalcum, star metal, gold, platinum, etc. We're going to see an increase in supply, as we already know that, so the price of that will probably drop. Now, there might be a case for saying on release day of the new patch, people might be coming back for arena and they might want to use some of these materials. However, I think ultimately that's going to trend downwards, so it would be a safe bet to say it's going to go down. Trying to gamble and selling it on release day seems like a risky business, but it's the knock-on effects that I think are important. When we look at cartridges and arrows, well, orichalcum and star metal cartridges and arrows likely going to go down in price. Again, you might see a very short-term bump on like arena first week and that kind of thing, because quite frankly a lot of people will want to try out arenas, and the bow has obviously been a little bit buffed, so you might see a lot of bow users, for example. But ultimately, in the long term, cartridges and arrows seem to be trending down, so if you're stockpiling like a lot of them, try and pick the opportune time to sell. And with having more orichalcum nodes, it seems likely that we're going to get more void ore supply, and there's not really much demand of that, so I strongly suspect that void ore will go down in price. And with more high-end mining nodes in general, it likely means that gems will be in more supply and they will probably drop in price as well. Now, there will be people doing the new mutations like the depths and stuff like that, so there is a case to say that maybe cut gems will go up in price. However, I don't really think so. I think most people probably don't swap their gems every time, but maybe just pretend they do. Like I just can't bother swapping my gems every time. But we'll talk about cut gems more in a second. One thing that also might drop in price, which is nothing related to the metals, is the infused health potions. Simply put, a lot of people will be doing arenas. That means less people will be doing mutations and outpost rush, and you get free consumables in arena, so there's not really much use case for infused health potions. Combine that with the fact that a lot of people were stocking up on consumables for the arena, and then obviously we're getting free ones, probably means there's going to be a lot of supply and not that much demand. That suggests to me a drop in price. Okay, so we're talking about things that are going down in price. What about things that are going up in price? And this is where you can really make money rather than save money. Now, you might have seen this, but just in case you've missed it, legendary fish are probably going to go up in price. Basically, they are fixing the trophies and nerfing fishing all at the same time, so it seems that there's going to be less legendary fish. This will translate into less int food, and I think also dex food, although that's somebody told me that. I actually don't know that myself. However, going back to metals with smelting and mining, if we have a lot more star metal and orichalcum, this will actually affect the prices of other things that you may not have thought of initially. As there will in general be more smelting, it seems that the price of iron ore, iron ingots, steel ingots will likely rise in demand. And well, if you're also going to be smelting a lot, well, there's two other things that you need. I think it's very possible that obsidian flux will go up in price as the demand for it will start overtaking the supply, especially with a lot of people doing PvP arenas. There's going to be like way less chest runs and that kind of thing. I also suspect that charcoal will go up in price. Now, this is obviously a little bit more easily farmable. You can literally just walk out of like Everfall and farm it, but still the demand's going to go up, so the price of charcoal and greenwood might go up. So you can see there how like just giving us more orichalcum and star metal and stuff like that actually has a wider impact in the market. It's likely going to impact the lower tier metals, and it's likely going to impact flux. And the good news is both of those are relatively easy to farm. You know, you can do some solo chest runs and get some flux, or you can put on a film or a J-Oddity YouTube video and chop down some trees. Additionally, we did mention that the price of gems might go down because there's more nodes, and this might mean that people try to cut more gems. And with the arenas and the new mutations, people might be swapping their gems out a little bit more, so the price of cut gems might go up, but there's more gems, so they might go down. Again, that's a little bit like, hey, it's really hard to predict. But more importantly, what we can probably say is that the price of motes will go up. Because there's more gems, you're going to need more motes to cut all of the gems. So I think motes might go up. Again, that's something you can farm if you don't want to take a big like economic risk and buying loads. The next thing that we're going to talk about is perhaps like a little bit meta. Because it is believed that PvP arenas are going to bring people back to New World, well, we can make some judgments on what to buy and maybe make a profit with because of this. The people who are returning may not have the best gear, so these people might return to the game and want some good gear crafted for them. Well, what are they going to want? Now, I suspect most of you will be aware of the craft mod change. Basically, you're going to be able to convert like a dual stat craft mod into a single stat. So that basically means prices of Iron Guardsmen are going to go down and the prices of the 2 stats are probably going to go up a little bit if that's not already happened. And of course, the people who are doing this will probably want Asmodeum and that kind of thing. So even though the materials for Asmodeum will go down in price overall, in the short term, Asmodeum might actually bump up. But what I think might bump up that you might want to get in, which a lot of people might not have thought of, is stuff like Timeless Shards and craft mods. It's very possible that they will go up in price as people return to the game and they want some good gear crafted for themselves. So it might be a good time to pick some of that up. There's a very simple risk with that one. The rewards from the PvP track itself might be so good that people stop crafting. However, I sort of doubt it. Some people love gambling and crafting, even though I personally hate it, and I talk about how much I hate it every chance that I get. Now, I don't think I can do one of these videos without talking about Vials of Suspended Azoth. It's pretty much a meme for myself at this point. And I do have a little bit of a correction. In my video when I spoke about the conversions from the craft mods, I said that it was using Vials of Suspended Azoth. It is not. It is just using Azoth itself. Now, obviously, the Vials of Azoth in turn translate to Azoth directly, so there's a correlation, obviously, but I just wanted to correct myself. And the price of the vials went up almost immediately on the news. So you might be thinking, is it going to go up anymore? And you might be thinking, well, obviously not. And this is where it might be worth taking a punt on something. What could very easily happen is everybody logs into the game and they have a desperate panic to convert their craft mods and sell them like as quickly as possible. What might happen is that they run out of Azoth and they run out of Vials of Azoth, even if they've been storing them, and they try and buy some. If suddenly on the first couple of days, the demand for the Vials of Azoth very quickly outweighs the supply of the Vials of Azoth, well, the Azoth will go up in price. Ultimately, that will settle at a price, and we don't actually know if it'll be higher or lower than what it is now. But it's possible that you'll see it really shoot up on day 1 or 2. But it's just a complete guess and a gamble. We just don't know. Speaking of other things that we don't know, materials like Cinnabar, Tolvium, Scar Hide, that kind of thing, well, there's some effects that are going to be had on those with the fact that the aptitude boxes are going to be giving less, but the gathering itself is going to be giving more. Now, I sort of suspect that the aptitude gives way more than the gathering is going to give in return, but there's just too many factors. With Tolvium and Cinnabar, for example, we're going to be getting more nodes, which in turn probably means the supply from the gathering would be higher. But it all depends on if that ratio between like gathering and the aptitude crates is really vastly different, and I wouldn't want to make a bet on which way it's going to go. Well, at least not publicly. I personally bought a few just in case, but ultimately I think there's too many variables. So that's it. There's just some like a little bit of an insight to what might be happening with the market. It's very hard to predict. Obviously, we know some things are going to change, but you might be of the opinion that loads of people are going to come back for the arenas and that's going to effectively affect the demand, and I might not be of that opinion. But if we look at it long term, well, we know that demand is probably going to equal out with the game, and we know that if there's more orichalcum, then obviously the price of orichalcum is going to go down. It's just obvious, right? But how you make your moves in the next couple of weeks will decide if you make gold or you lose gold, if you're going to play that game. If you like this video, do press like. More New World content, then do subscribe. Have a most beautiful day. Goodbye.